Chapter 3, Overcoming Stumbling Blocks, Part 2. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Rumi. Creative stamina. Building creative stamina takes time. It's supported by several practices: writing for clarity and managing studio time, acknowledging the unseen rules we've imposed on ourselves and questioning them, casting off rules that no longer serve a purpose, cultivating the rebel artist who stands vigilant in defense of studio time, the right to it, and the right use of it. Dropping rules that aren't working or rules stifling your time is the first step. I hope you recently left the bed unmade at least once, and allowed dishes to baste in a sink of hot water while you rattled around in your studio, or did a great job cleaning up if that's what was needed. In this chapter, we consider obstacles to making generated by what I call the committee. It's important to know who's on your committee, and we've all got one. The committee, your chakras, and the tribe. Dismantling the committee is key to strengthening your artist self, and nobody gets hurt. Some people see the faces of their committee members, while others hear their voices. Imagine yourself in the studio doing whatever you do to make art. Gradually, you start to feel anxious, like you aren't good enough, or you're bound to fail, or you should just quit right now while you're ahead. They are the voices or faces of people who were relentlessly judgmental of you in the past, or of people you really want to please and impress. They could be your parents or a spouse, a sibling, or a teacher. They could be somebody who's dead, but could just as well be someone alive and kicking. Could be someone you don't even know personally. I see faces personally. The day it dawned on me that I had a committee, I wanted to laugh out loud. It seemed so absurd. Then I wanted to cry. My committee members were my father, two famous artists I know personally, and the president of an organization I'd belonged to for over 20 years. It was weird but true. Working along in the studio feeling just fine, then the progress would slow and even get a bit rocky. As soon as it did, one of those faces would pop into my head with a very disapproving look indeed. I knew what they were thinking without even having to ask. Oh, that doesn't look good. Gee, can't you do a better job than that? In order to understand where the committee comes from, let's talk about human history, evolution, and believe it or not, the energetic system known as the chakras. Originally arising from Hindu metaphysical tradition, chakras are defined as centers of life force or vital energy in the human body. Contemporary theorists like Dr. Caroline Myss suggest that chakras are energetic centers within our bodies, each of the 7 points related to an energetic development. Fundamental human issues like safety and security are represented by the first chakra, which is usually red. As we mature mentally, physically, and energetically, we embrace the other chakras in order. 7th chakra energy at the top of our heads is the connection to the universe, the Great Mother, God, Allah, whatever works for you. We're only beginning to recognize the relationships between human, physical, mental, and energetic or spiritual systems. But everything evolves and builds on everything else, and how life is explained to us depends on what culture we grow up in. Take Western culture, for example. In 1943, psychologist Abraham Maslow described what he called the hierarchy of needs, which included physiological needs at the basic fundamental level of the pyramid as he modeled it, and you can look this up online. As those survival needs were met, we work at fulfilling higher level needs, and eventually, if we pay attention and keep plowing along, we achieve self-actualization. His system, along with the chakras and a variety of other theories, concur that human beings really do want to be better and happier, kinder, and more creative. It's very encouraging. This is where chakras and the committee converge. As infants and children, we are defenseless. We need adults in order to survive. Our fundamental needs are met at the first chakra level by our parents, extended families, and communities. Our energetic need is to belong, to be cared for, and to be loved. In this scenario, the tribe is a very, very good thing. Perhaps you've been in a setting where someone referred happily to being part of a tribe, a community of people who share a passion for the same thing. It's a wonderful feeling to connect to that tribe. However, the tribe has a shadow side, a side that is activated when you veer from the standards of the tribe or actually threaten the tribe's status quo. Remember, the evolutionary purpose of the tribe was to make sure your ancestors survived by being ready to act on a moment's notice. If the tribe leader said, "Let's get packing, it's time to flee," you threw your stuff in your rucksack and you fled. People stuck together. There wasn't room for an individual rebel who might slow the tribe down and cause the group's demise. Individual rebelling was frowned upon. We no longer need to be part of a tribe to survive in quite that way, but the tribal desire to keep everyone in line still lurks in our DNA. Tribe members frequently perceive this as a threat if someone challenges the system, whether it's deliberately rebellious or not. About a year after I left the Southwest Craft Center, where I chaired the Surface Design Studio, to become a freelance artist, I went to an art opening in San Antonio. I saw two former board members across the room, so I went over to say hello. One looked me squarely in the eye when I reminded her of my name and said, "Oh yes, I remember you. You got too big for your britches." I nodded politely, but when I got to the car, I cried buckets. I had to pull myself together before I could drive home. The tribe may be lovey-dovey when everyone is on the same page, but veer off into new territory and you will likely encounter disapproval, discomfort, and sometimes downright meanness. That's how some members of your tribe morph onto your committee. This is important. Committee members don't put themselves on your committee. You put them there. In fact, most of the members of your committee might be hurt or even shocked if they knew they had spots at the table. These are not necessarily people who dislike you. My father loved me. He did the best parenting job he could do with what he had. It wasn't perfect. Occasionally, he was very insensitive to my need for approval and dished out criticism instead. But it was my desire to please him that put him on my committee. People who land on your committee may have been mean to you or dismissive. It happens. Life sucks sometimes. But you're still the one who abdicated your power by putting them there. And it's just as true that committee members may not even be aware of you. The other 3 members on my committee don't care about me or what I do. My admiration of them translated into a fear that they wouldn't like my artwork if they saw it. That's about me, not them. When I realized this, it was the first step to dismantling my committee, which is what we have to do if we're going to take ultimate responsibility for what we make. No one else can dismantle your committee for you. You have to do it yourself. And then you are free to love what you do. No more faces and no more voices. Check it out. There are 2 goals here. Clarity comes from recognizing the common error we make of believing we know what other people are thinking and how they are judging us. You don't really know, do you? Stop projecting your own insecurities onto other people. Stay in present time. It's a relief to realize someone really is judging you. At least then the elephant's out in the room so it can be dealt with and dismissed. Even if you never confront that person, at least you're clear about what's happening, and then you're okay. Not everybody has to like you, because let's face it, you don't like everybody.